Hey, welcome. Before we start, I just want to say that on this particular episode, Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning are on, and you know they're one of the most successful YouTube personalities, and I'm a huge fan. I did the show, and you've always said, we're going to do this. We will not talk about politics or religion.
When politicians change their mind, we get mad.
I didn't want to start arguing with anybody.
This faith has been very meaningful for y'all. It's defined who you are. You can't make me believe something that I find to be unbelievable.
I did, maybe we crossed the line. We did talk.
You don't listen to me.
I don't listen to you.
That dynamic is toxic. It is debilitating.
We understand both sides.
For me, I'm not trying to convince you that it's not true.
I got more interested in sharing my truth, I guess you would call it.
So if you are offended by talk of religion or whatever, and maybe I crossed the line.
Is this your trigger warning?
I'm just warning. It's your trigger warning. Subscribe. Go to HowieMandel.com if you want like some merch or whatever.
Some stuff.
If you want some stuff. But enjoy. There you go. What? You're tired. You've been up all night. All right. This is Howie Mandel Does Stuff. I'm Howie Mandel, and you heard somebody saying they're tired. Who was tired?
Me, Jacqueline Schultz, your daughter.
She's tired.
I have coffee.
What is this?
You're already tired of us?
Yeah.
No,
Rhett and Link,
that's
by
not
the
what I
way.
said.
We just showed up.
Rhett and Link are here. Your guys are like a YouTube sensation, but you've done TV, you've done everything. You guys are musicians, comedians, improv actors. Well, you know what I find fascinating is the fact that, and they have
Business people. They're
Pardon me?
business people. You guys are business
We're business people.
Business savvy.
Mm-hmm.
You are. You created an industry
Yeah.
out of a friendship.
We are known as the businessman and the boy. That is one of the ways that we are referred to at times.
See, I
By
told you.
children.
I don't know how that happened.
I think one child watched a video of ours and called
Yeah.
us the
The businessman
and
and the boy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard
They were
that.
like, yeah, put on the businessman and the boy.
And why didn't you run with that? That's a great, like a brand.
Oh, we have.
No,
I
they are.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have. I talk about it all the time. I mean, it's
he's
one of
trying
the
to make
first
it
things I
happen
mentioned.
for a long time. He's been trying to make the boy happen for me, but
You don't like being the boy?
I'm not really up for the boy.
Why?
How do you identify?
Okay.
He identifies as the
a guy-
businessman.
I'm a guy. businessman.
It
and a
feels
guy.
like he's taking advantage of you. If it's like the businessman and the boy, it
Right,
feels a
it's
little like
weird.
sketchy and
But,
weird. It
oh,
does.
listen,
Right.
Why are we going to this
I'm just
dark
saying.
place?
Hold on, but if you heard,
Well, that's the answer to your question.
if somebody was like, I'm going to see the businessman and the boy tonight, in like an entertainment context, who do you think would like be generating the most laughs? The boy, right? The businessman is just pulling the strings, but who's he kind of pushing out? He's pushing out the boy. So I feel like you should embrace being the boy because
The
I think
boy
people
needs
like
to
the
go
boy.
solo.
The
Pinocchio
more
is the
gray
star.
you get into your, the more gray that
Yeah.
seems to be. I'm not knocking because
No, I
you
love
guys.
it.
I'll tell you something. We've been doing this podcast for almost 2 years, and I could say without a doubt the best hair we've had. I'm a big judge of hair.
Oh well, Jackie didn't. I mean, she didn't take that bait.
No, I think so. I'm thinking back to all the guests we've had.
Oh,
Maybe-
look at this.
Yeah.
You want to really consider this?
Yeah. Before I give my answer, I'm really thinking
Who
about
has
it. I
better
don't
hair,
just
the
give out
businessman or the
compliments.
boy?
Oh gosh, here we go.
Oh, I don't know.
You know what? You don't have
The
to
boy,
answer
I
that.
think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
The boy's
fine.
got
I'll
a
take
bright
that.
future ahead of him.
That's the point. See, again, the businessman wants the boy to have the better hair because the businessman
But yours
benefits.
is very Jason Momoa kind of thing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, which is a compliment.
Yeah, you look like you're using Aquanet.
Just
Or
the hair.
Aquaman.
Nothing else.
I was once called
Aquaman and the boy.
I was once approached by a drunk man in Key West who came up to me and said, "Jason Mimosa."
Really?
Really? So
Was he ordering?
I am now known as Jason Mimosa, like the
Jason Mimosa and the boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
there.
That's
That's
an even
okay.
playing field.
Okay.
How many different shows do you guys have?
Oh gosh. Well, Good Mythical Morning is our main thing.
I know
you
that. But then you got the cooking, like, and other people that aren't
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, Ear Biscuits is our podcast, and then Mythical Kitchen is its own channel, food show. Lots of different shows within that channel, and
Run
we're not
by
on
the
it.
businessman.
Yes.
And the boy.
And the boy.
Now I'm having to own this boy.
The boy does some business from time to time.
Yeah.
How does your father not refer to you as a boy? Like, my boy. This is my boy.
That's a good question.
No, he's never done that. He says son.
I know.
My son.
Son.
He does.
son.
He talks like, and he looks like. I always get your dad and Theo Von mixed up.
I can see that.
Can you see that?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you ever see his dad?
No, I want to see.
Put up a
now.
picture of Theo Von and his dad together.
Until they did the video version of the podcast, a not insignificant number of people thought that his dad was just Link doing a character.
Like talking to
They
myself.
thought that we had done like a character podcast where it was just Link talking to.
He lives in Myrtle Beach, so like he gives me a dispatch from Myrtle Beach every week. But I would gladly give up our show just to see him be like Theo's co-host. Like I would take a backseat to that. And
The way
love
your
every second
dad
of it.
talks and the way Theo talks are very, very, very similar. How come you don't have that accent?
I can turn it on if I need to. But and then
Would you ever need to?
My dad's up here.
Well, maybe sometimes.
If I really want my dad to listen to me.
If you got a flat tire, hey, listen. Recently, we still have a lot of family in North Carolina, and my wife and I bought a cabin back in North Carolina for us to be able to stay when we go to see all the family. And I had to meet a guy out there to do some tree removal. And I was like, I'm going to meet a few guys out
Tree
here. Right?
removal from a cabin? Isn't the cabin made of trees?
Not from the cabin, from around the cabin.
Oh, okay.
Some problem trees that were, encroaching. And I just found myself, first of all, this guy was, you forget just how rural someone can be once you kind of move out of the area. And this guy was like what we would have considered like a mountain folk, even from where we grew up. And I was able to understand him. I still have the ability to understand it, but you can't help but, in fact, I actually thought, I'm going to put a hat on, because I was like, I don't want to be judged by this guy. I'm going to put a hat. If I put a hat on and I've got my hair coming out the back, I seem like somebody he might respect a little bit more. Right? You know what I'm saying? And then you find yourself just turning it on just a little bit because we've got some trees.
How long ago did this happen?
4 months ago, probably.
You still have his number in your phone?
I didn't end up going with him because I got a better estimate from somebody else.
Oh, because I was going to say we should call him and ask him to put the trees back.
Yeah, we could totally still call him, right?
We should call him.
Yeah. I probably do still have contact info, but
I'd love to call him. But go ahead and finish the story.
the story is done. It's basically that occasionally you need to put on an accent in order to contract business.
All right.
If you're a businessman.
We'll put that. That'll be a morning wood story. Right?
It was the morning that we met.
Trees are wood.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go. You guys have known each other since elementary school.
Yeah.
39 years
Yeah.
of friendship as of a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was told you were coming in for the 40th anniversary.
And you guys still get
well,
along?
we are.
We are next year.
Get along.
That's a bad book.
Getting along.
I thought this was supposed to be the 40th year.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You can sit on this one.
Yeah, just package it up.
We're celebrating 40 years of friendship this 2024.
2025. Oh.
Yeah,
Yep,
dude, it's
2024.
2024.
One of you is going to celebrate a year
The
early.
boy doesn't keep
What
up with the
year is
numbers.
it?
The businessman keeps up with the numbers. It's 2024.
So, and from day one, you have been really good friends. And whether you were getting in trouble together, having done my research, whether you're getting in trouble together for writing dirty words on your desks, to working together and being in improv troupes and going to college together, I find it amazing because, even in music, groups don't stay together this long. Have you had any disparaging times where you just go, F you, I don't want to even show up in the same room? Because I've had that with my own daughter for years. Well, there was
For years.
If it wasn't there for
There were several years.
I was going to
For the
tell you
year.
today. I was
They
going to
didn't
tell
want
you
to talk
today.
to you.
You don't want to be with me? You didn't want me to
today I
be in
do.
the room?
What were the years? It was
When from the year she was 16 till she was
Okay.
21.
Yeah, those are the bad years.
Those were the bad years. And she didn't want to be in the room with me. We hated each other. I can't imagine if we had a show together like we do now that she would even show up. Or
do you agree with that? I don't want him to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, well, I didn't know he hated me, but yes, we did not get along.
You knew that you hated him.
If you don't hate your parents a little bit at 16, then you're not going through like
No.
a proper developmental cycle.
We did not get along for a really long time, for years.
I don't
of
want
her
to take
as
over your show, but I do
No,
want
go
to know
ahead.
how bad it got.
How bad did it get?
It got really bad. He was super, super strict. I was the oldest. He took the door off my room. I wasn't allowed to have a door on my
Nice
room.
move, Dad.
Why? What did he catch you doing behind the door?
Because I wasn't allowed to close my door when I had people in there, and I did, and so he took the door off.
Not
Damn.
people, boys.
Yeah, no doors in the house.
Whatever.
I'm on board with that.
You ripped the door off?
I did.
He took away
We have all beads in our house, so
my
we get
car, which I get because I got my.
it. Just like 70s
When you-
beads.
Oh, you have daughters?
When you got to park the
two
beads.
boys. Yeah,
Two
but it's
boys.
all
You don't have to
beads.
worry. Boys, you can give them 9 doors.
Yeah, no, he was fine with my brother closing the door with girls in the room.
I did have a double standard.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
yeah.
old school.
Apparently.
Yes.
But you got through it. Look at you two.
Well, and I
well,
actually think that this is, a family relationship is a good analogy for our relationship, right? So Because we've known each other-
I think we're more of an old married couple. than brothers.
The vibe I'm getting is more of like a businessman and a boy.
I've been really selling that vibe.
Oh shit! I knew that was going to happen the moment that's where we started.
Yeah.
I was never going to get away from it.
But I'm just saying, like I like music and some of my favorite groups. I go like, why the?
At least there's only 2 of us. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think
if
that
there's
helps the
like 3,
dynamic.
4, 5.
Do you fight?
That's
Oh
impossible.
yeah, so we have a.
in a sense, we fight.
We've never punched each other in the face. I don't think we've ever gotten
Wow.
close.
I
to
love that
doing
you're
it.
saying that with pride.
we've-
That's an amazing.
we've never-
accomplishment. Either did we.
Well, I just want to set the standard. We've
It
never
was
had
harder.
one of those
It's been
things.
harder to not punch you in the face than.
Well, that's
vice
because you
versa.
can't control your emotions. But we
At least I have emotions.
we haven't had one of those things where it's like, I'm not talking to you. I mean, maybe like for a day, there may be like, okay, I'm leaving and I'm not talking to you today. But there's never been like an extended period of time where it was like we weren't communicating or we weren't, okay, we got to work on this thing. We got to shoot this thing, where we would just kind of get through it. But we very rarely let resentment build
So I had to
too
tell
long.
You're not an old married couple then.
Yeah, there's too much at stake. It's like, I mean, we're not just staying together for the children. It's like we actually want to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
But when you disagree and when there is some friction between you outside of business, or business may be the thing that starts that friction, you would think it would be hard to be funny and entertaining, or maybe that adds to it. Sometimes when people are like messed up, great songs come to mind.
There's 2 different levels of this. The first level is.
Can we talk about the second level first?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
would
the
like to
first
hear
one's
that.
just easy. I'll get it out of the way. But yeah, I'll give you more of the second one, the juicy one, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
The unjuicy one is just like you just get on each other's nerves, and you just need some time apart. Like we spend so many hours together for so many years that it was like, okay, we're not gonna hang out on the weekends. It's like we had to start having separate weekend lives, and then it would, we get better at not being annoyed with each other, but that type of thing will come through. But when you do 5 shows a week,
Right.
for almost 11 years now, fans start to pick up on tension, and they make a lot more of it than it actually is.
So like, this is the year.
But it is there at times. Like you go from like we're having a great time together to we sometimes we'll try to harness the frustration into comedy. So we'll start taking more jabs at each other, and it's just a different tone. But I think it's still funny.
Right.
But it's a bit dangerous because it starts to get a little too true.
We might stop laughing. Like, we might not be laughing at each other. We might be doing something that someone watching is laughing at, but
Right.
you can tell, they're not making each other laugh today. I think that's a good indicator that they're a little bit, they're annoyed with each other.
But that's far from saying, I can't do a show this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the juicier thing is there's been a couple of times when it's, we make fun of like being in touch with, like me being in touch with my emotions or him not being, and like that's that's an extreme and that's not true. But there have been times in the past, like maybe maybe 2 times over the 11 years that I've been like, if we're not, like, I don't want to be friends on camera if I don't feel like we're friends off camera. And I would have a need for us to just hang out, have fun together, do something together. And that wasn't just for somebody else's entertainment, but just for us.
It's like a method actor.
I would have.
No, it's like when you show up for a movie.
No, Howie, it's called being an actual friend.
And see, my perspective on that.
You're on Rhett's side on this?
Well, okay, here's the thing.
A method actor.
So,
well, when you have to. Okay, go ahead.
So we've worked this out, but one of the things that we found is that I've always thought, even from the early days when we were in a cow pasture when we were 14 doing a blood oath saying that we were going to create together one day or create something big together. It was ambiguous. We had no idea what it was going to be, but we knew we wanted to create together. When we get together, like, we were in a high school band together. I always saw us being together, like our friendship was kind of based in the things that we were going to do together and to create together. So sometimes we'll be hanging out, we'll be watching something, and I can't watch anything. I can't be entertained by anything without immediately start thinking about, well, what are we going to do? Like, what does this inspire us to do? And sometimes it'd be like, don't talk about work right now. And so for me, I don't see it as work, right? I see what we do as my passion. And it's the way that I kind of experience my friendship with Link, is the things that we do together and the things that we create together. But I respect him when he says, let's not talk about work, because I do realize that, well, it is also business. It is also work. And if it just becomes about the things that we're doing together, which are so externally focused, they're designed to kind of be for somebody else a lot of times and not just for us, that I have to kind of pull back and be like, okay, you know what? We'll talk about that on Monday. So there's a little bit of a give and take.
Your wives ever get involved? Because you got to bring some of this home, and then
I mean, I definitely vent to Christy about it. Like when I told
is that why she hates Rhett?
Yes.
It is a weird thing. First of all, like I was like, here's the email that I wrote to Rhett. Read it. And she's like, you go, girl. You send that email. And it was like, if we're not going to actually be friends, I don't want to keep pretending to be friends on the internet. And it was,
you didn't say that.
You
didn't say that.
It was long, and it was.
That is an extreme characterization of
that
what
was the
you said.
Message of it, and that was the emotional message.
So what I get from this is Rhett is just showing up for work, but not for you.
That's how I felt.
I know you're hurt. You're hurt.
And
this is an intervention today. This is, I want to bring you guys back.
Listen, wait, this was years ago.
Okay, and you know what?
This is not
Wait,
today.
so your wife gave you the stamp of approval.
But you haven't told the rest of the story.
The rest of the story,
which is very significant,
was, I don't remember the rest of it. No. It's funny that I sent an email, because I don't send emails.
Right, you're a horrible emailer.
I wouldn't do that now. I would have said, let's get together. But his response was, let's talk about this. Let's talk through it. And I think, he was like, I want to hear you. And he processed it. He stopped and he was like, I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear you. And I'm going to respond to it. Like he was saying, we work differently. We conduct friendship differently. And the overlaps and like what matters most to us in our friendship and the needs that we have are different.
You guys are different humans.
So
but that's not the rest. That's not the full rest of the story.
Okay.
Because yes, I read it. I said, let's talk about it. We talked about it. I gave you my answer at the time, which was a little bit of what I already said, which is just like, I consider the time that we spend together working. I consider the time together that we're making things, that we're doing the podcast is like, for me, that's friendship building, because we're being our authentic self. I love having a good time with you on Good Mythical Morning, all this stuff. But, at the end of a week, it's like we spent 50, 60 hours together. So it's just like, well, I'm going to kind of chill with my wife and my kids on the weekend or whatever, versus like, hey, let's go surfing or whatever. And, but then multiple years later.
Yeah.
Have you already forgotten about my tearful apology? I mean, that was a big moment in our friendship.
Forgive and forget, man.
Hang on, do we have any
music?
Sad? Like very.
Well, I'm not going to reenact it.
Yes,
well, you should.
You should. If you forget.
I need a refresher.
Hang on. Let's score it.
Okay.
I agree with this.
Yes, let's score it.
I'll give you.
It's got to be public domain. Give me a minute.
I'll give you my best recreation, reenactment.
Okay. It does have to be public domain.
Pardon me?
Yeah, you're right. Public domain.
Yeah, because
royalty free.
Yes, hang on. Which ruins the emotion. Royalty free sad music, so that we can do this naturally and just let it flow. Have you found any? I see him.
Sad music, no copyright.
Oh, we got an ad. Got a Wix ad.
Oh, you're getting the ad for where he gets it. You got it? There you go.
Okay.
You know, I recently I reread that email that you sent like 3 years ago.
You did?
You didn't say anything, man. You just stared at me. So that's what you should do right now. And I just want to. I just want to say sorry for the way I reacted to that. Because I'm kind of ashamed of my response to that. Because reading that, now I see that you were saying that you just wanted to experience friendship. And I just kind of gave you my perspective back to try to explain the way that I felt about it and really kind of tried to defend myself. But I didn't take the time to acknowledge your need in what you were saying and validate that. And I just feel like an asshole. I'm sorry.
You should be. I don't remember what I said. It was
beautiful.
It was pretty moving at the time.
And I did cry.
And it was real.
I did cry.
So it did take 2 years to get like a full closure on it.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Because I thought we had...
This wasn't it?
And now...
And now...
The reruns even better.
Celebrating our 40th year of friendship.
Yes. That
Fully
seems
closed.
like 40, but it's only 39.
Yeah, right.
When good things are happening, they seem longer.
And our wives, you asked about our wives. I mean, that was like an arranged friendship. Like you would have an arranged marriage kind of a thing because they met through us. Once we started
and now
dating.
Are they close?
They're very close. In fact, I think that, it's interesting. You always, this is something we've never talked about. We want to give you things that we've never talked about, right? We talk on the internet all the time. We talk too much. So we want to give you things that are special. We've never talked about this.
This has never been spoken about before.
This particular dynamic, right? So one of the things that
wait, can we let's break for a commercial and then no, because I want to hold them over the sponsors and then that's and then when we come back, what are you going to be telling?
What is this about?
I don't know, but it's something. Rhett and Link have been on the air for 11 years doing that show, but 39 years together performing, and we are about to hear something
that no one's heard before.
Mm-hmm.
Not even
you.
Not even Link.
Yeah.
Link doesn't even know what it is. So we'll be back with more right after this. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. We're in a commercial now. Why does it sound like that? Kenny. It's like recording in my bathroom. What's with the sound, Kenny?
There's scrolling, there's echoes, there's everything. It's always everything.
Oh my God. Well, you know what's good? This product.
Raycons again.
Yes.
And it's my favorite time of year.
It's the best time of year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fall. We're changing colors on the leaves.
Cozy vibes and my personal favorite holiday.
It's not Halloween.
No.
I know what you're going to say.
What?
Raycon's anniversary?
It is.
I know.
Happy anniversary, Raycon.
Woo!
Yes.
It's the only time, like it's the only holiday where you get 20 to 40% off of Raycons, which is why it is my favorite holiday of the season. Because Halloween, you just get like a candy.
Right.
You get 20 to 40% off.
This is a treat.
Mm-hmm.
See what I did there?
It is a treat.
This is a real treat.
Not a trick. It's a treat.
You know, and their everyday earbuds are known for delivering high-quality audio and thoughtful features like 32-hour battery life. And the in-ear fit is amazing.
Perfection.
It is perfection.
So comfy.
And to thank everybody who's shown them support in the past 6 years, Raycon is offering 20% off of everything on their site with selected products, up to 40% off.
That's insane. So celebrate Raycon turning 6 years old with their biggest sale of the year going on now. Hurry now to buyraycon.com/Howie Does Stuff and use code BIRTHDAY to get 20 to 40% off site-wide.
And you know the sound will definitely be better than this, Kenny! Wow!
That works.
We're back. We are back.
I love it. Okay, so
Reset it up, though.
I'm going to tell you something that we've built it up, and it's probably going to be a little bit
Better be good.
disappointing. But
No,
yeah, let's
that's
just
not-
let's keep going with it.
Hey,
They're still here.
Can I just say something?
Yes,
We built it up.
we built it up.
Not for you
To tear down.
You know what?
to say
I'm about
out
to tell
loud
you something.
that the audience is going to be disappointed.
I'm about to tell you
Right.
something I've never told you before. I'm building it back up.
When you say it's going to be disappointing, you're going to disappoint Link.
Yeah,
The audience is going to be,
very enthused.
I can't wait for you to hear this. Call your friends, call your neighbors, and watch.
Are you setting up for
Rhett
another commercial break?
disappoint Link. I wish we had
long?
another sponsor.
Yeah.
I wish I had one more fucking sponsor. But no, I don't.
Get
So
it.
one
Hey,
thing
I know
that
the
we-
feeling.
Do you know the feeling?
Yeah.
I would love to
You can
go to a
always get one more
commercial,
sponsor.
but nobody is advertising. And here we are in another commercial.
Still in the bathroom.
Kenny,
Still in the bathroom.
how do you not adjust the sound this long? Kenny,
Working on it.
I'm so
Scroll-
busy.
Busy
What?
scrolling. Let him scroll.
Go to
and work on
the
sound.
echo. Go to the. I don't know anything about audio. Ever since Kenny has started, we've had a little bit of an issue, but
Not an issue with our sponsor.
which is Butcher Box.
This is, again, one of my favorites. Number one, because I'm a mom and I have kids and I don't want to go to the grocery store. But not just because I don't want to go to the grocery store, but because Butcher Box gives me high quality meats and products that's actually cheaper than going to the grocery
So
store.
you get incredible deals on premium cuts from your grocery store. You get great deals and great
Not
quality.
from the grocery store, from Butcher Box. Better than even the grocery store.
Better than the grocery store.
Yeah.
Yes. Where do they get it? I don't know. We get it from the box. Comes to the house.
They get it straight from the butcher. It's the Butcher Box.
Butcher
Like,
what?
Butcher Box. Say it 10 times fast. Butcher Box. Butcher Box.
Butcher Box. Butcher Box. Butcher Box. Butcher Box.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Butcher Box is actually amazing. It's giving us a special deal, actually giving you a special deal. All you have to do is sign up today using code Howie to receive ground beef for life plus $20 off your first order. That's 2 pounds of ground beef free in every box for the lifetime of your membership plus $20
Yeah, not
off.
for your entire life.
Well, for life.
For the life of your membership. You got to be a member.
Well, you don't ever have to stop your membership.
I wouldn't.
It could be for life.
You're right.
If you're a member
And it's not
for
just
life.
beef. You know, there's seafood too.
No, I know, and there's chicken. I get everything. I get it all. Anyways, that's 2 pounds of ground beef free in every box for the lifetime of your membership, plus
Hello.
$20 off your first order when you
Hello.
sign up at butcherbox.com/Howie.
Hello.
And use code Howie.
I love this. I don't mind this, Kenny.
Oh,
but
you're
it's
liking it.
Hello.
Sounds like you're in a box, not a butcher box, but a box.
You're right.
Mhm.
This is
It
perfect
works.
for this. Kenny,
It works.
this worked.
Yeah.
Back to the podcast.
Okay, so there's a dynamic that to set this up, there's a dynamic that we've talked about before, where people would ask us the secret to our friendship, longevity of our friendship, and I would often say having a common goal, having something that you're working on together is a great way to kind of keep you friends.
Yes.
In other words,
Yes.
it's like a married couple staying married for the sake of the kids. But what happens when couples that are together for the kids become empty nesters, a lot of times they end up getting divorced, right? Or they have like a reinvention of their relationship. So Link once pointed out to me that it was hurtful that I used that dynamic. And I think maybe in that email or maybe in the subsequent conversation about it when you were like, I get what you're saying and I don't think it's untrue, but really it kind of makes it sound like the only reason we're friends is because we're working on something together. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to stop using that analogy, or I'm going to stop using it in isolation. I'm going to have other things that I say. I'm going to be like, well, I actually love this guy and I want to be his friend. That's why we're friends. And then here are maybe some keys to like staying good friends. But there's a dynamic that you often use in describing our wives' relationship, and that is, it's kind of an arranged marriage. Now, I'll take two issues with that. Number one, every relationship is arranged, is circumstantial. Our friendship is based on the fact that we went to the same school. My parents moved to Bowie's Creek, and you were in class or whatever.
I'm getting uncomfortable. Do you want us in this room, or is this something you two want to work out?
I like glancing over and looking at your encouraging faces from time to time.
I feel like I need you.
Go ahead. Keep
going. But the wonderful thing is, I think that besides me, my wife's favorite person is your wife.
But so it is an arranged marriage.
Right, but what I'm saying, when you lead with that, what it sounds like is, well, they probably wouldn't be friends if it wasn't for us. And what I'm saying
That's true.
And I don't agree with that.
Because they wouldn't have ever met.
Yeah, but I feel like that puts the emphasis in the wrong place, because I think our wives are... I think it's a mischaracterization of our wives' relationship, because they're actually really, really close, talk all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Consider each other best friends.
Some of the best marriages are arranged marriges. Am I right?
So here's the thing, because I am
so confused.
Because the way I changed the way that I talk about our friendship, what I'm asking you to do is, when people ask us about our wives, you always lead with, well, it's kind of an arranged marriage. I think you should say our wives are best friends, because they are, and it's true.
It's a setup.
And I think that's how you should characterize it.
Our wives are best friends.
See, just start with that.
We arranged the best friendship. We get credit for it.
Has your wife said that she is upset with the way that he talks about their friendship?
No.
Is that where this is coming from, or is this
is coming from me?
From you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't listen to anything.
I love what I'm getting in your dynamic is if there aren't problems,
we create them.
You can create them, and then try to fix shit that doesn't exist.
That's what relationships are all about.
Really, because I'm sensing that
manufactured conflict,
and that's what you've done today for us. In the hopes of talking about shit that you've never talked about before, because you've been on, so you're making up shit.
I'm just doing this for you guys.
Really good. And to hear that this arrangement of non-arranging friendship is really seems to be working out.
Yeah.
You have no idea how confused I am from the inside, but I'm glad that a lot of podcasts will talk to people and there's no resolution. And this is
we always resolve.
But Jesse recently, I love you, buddy.
I love you. Jesse actually just said to me,
our wives love each other,
because we were together a little weekend away in Big Sur, because we do spend a lot of time together still.
Because he wants it to not
just be about
forces
work.
that,
yes,
so that like when actors, I was trying to say earlier, when actors are going to do a movie and they're going to pay best friends, the director will have them fly in a week,
spend a weekend together,
right? So that there is a real chemistry, and you want that same thing.
Yeah.
So you will arrange. Maybe your better judgment.
He doesn't want it to be method acting for work. Then it's about work again. He actually just wants to have a friendship. You're not getting it.
No.
It's not all about work.
You're right, Jackie.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I wish you guys had a talk more when you were 16. He would understand you better.
I don't understand it. But you're right about people rearranging and reinventing. I've been married for 43 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the kids left. And now we reinvent it. And
we're on the verge of that, and I am open to advice.
The businessman and the girl. That's who we are.
Okay,
Me and my wife.
So how did you reinvent? Like, first of all, did it register? Did it register with you? Like, okay, last kid's leaving the house. The dynamics about the change. I'm anticipating this. I'm going to be proactive. Or did you realize that it had happened?
I'm sure your relationship is better now that the kids left the house, because I was so problematic. I'm sure it created issues between you.
Yeah, when you left, things were better. Yeah. I'm being honest. When you are not around, it's just everybody's happier. And that's.
But she was the first.
Yeah, she was the first. And but how is it? It's been more problematic lately since COVID.
I'm back.
No.
this damn podcast.
Because I was spent so much time on the road. I was not around. What made it? People ask what made the marriage work. It was the fact that I wasn't there. To not be around me is to love me.
Gotcha.
You
You do?
well, yeah.
Yeah, we've met. We've seen each other a couple of times, and I felt like it's a really good arrangement.
Yeah,
You guys have actually stayed away from. You're probably one of the few internet sensations that have stayed away from controversy. You really, and I don't know if that's just because of who you are. Is that something you work hard? Though I shouldn't say that, because in thinking, when I first was aware of you, do you remember I did your show? I was there.
Oh,
once.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but when I came to do your show and I didn't know you, and I looked up, I guess what was coming, you were very, or whatever I was reading at the time was devoutly Christian, right? You know, and then, which I think is possible controversy, not for me personally, but then you started talking about religion and maybe moving away from it.
yeah.
But why would you do that publicly? You're going to alienate people. Why do you do that?
Why
did
was
you
a
do
scary decision, yeah.
But it's not a scary decision. Well, maybe it is a scary decision to make that move personally and decide this is how I'm going to live my life. That's scary enough.
Oh, yeah.
But then why do you need, because as somebody who's a fan of what you do, you really didn't need to.
Wasn't necessary.
That's my point.
I think
Right.
it became necessary.
Why?
So first of all, the transition away from Christianity, because yes, we were raised super conservative evangelical Christian, not just in our childhood, but we began our adulthood in that way, spent most of our 20s that way. And then in our 30s, that was when I was kind of the first one to start sounding the alarm about, I don't think this stuff is true. And it's a long story. We talked about it quite a bit, but it led to me leaving the faith and then sort of everyone dropping like flies after that, right? So that we kind of don't consider ourselves Christians at this point. And that happened about 10 years ago. It was a little different paces for different, people, but then what we continued to do.
Different people in the foursome.
Yeah. What we started to do, the evolution of online media, it was very different 10 years ago. And it has changed and gotten so much more personal, right? And we end up talking about so many more personal things on our podcast. And we were in, our podcast, when it first started, was an interview podcast. We would talk to online personalities. We're asking all these really deep questions. We're asking questions about their upbringing, their faith, whatever. And we had never disclosed anything about us. And there was lots of assumptions based on some things that we had done, some things that we had said. And to me, it just, every year that passed, I just felt like this hypocrite that was talking about pretty much every single personal thing, every idea that I had on our podcast or whatever, but never talking about this huge, major, because it's the most pivotal change I've ever experienced personally, because we were in very deep. It was our entire worldview. It impacted every relationship, every conversation, the way we saw the way we lived every minute of the day. We weren't nominal Christians. We were professional missionaries for a while, right? That's how we got our start. And we would be interviewed and we would tell a story about, well, we were engineers and then we became YouTubers, without talking about this middle 3 or 4 year period where we were actually working as professional Christian evangelists. And so I was like, I just feel like we're leaving this piece of our lives out that people deserve to know, because we're disclosing all this stuff. And I was like, I know we're going to lose fans. I know there's going to be people who in fact, we hear it all the time. I don't let my kids watch you guys anymore. You went to Hollywood and betrayed Jesus. And it's I'm like, well, that's not exactly what happened. I've talked about what happened, but I didn't do it to gain fans or lose fans. I did it to be authentic.
I get that, but you could be authentic without. As somebody who is, taking a check from the man, I'm on broadcast TV doing America's Got Talent in that. I vehemently steer clear of religion and politics.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can get done whatever I need to get done. And I'm not being dishonest as much as I'm just, avoiding the best term is I'm on broadcast, which is a broadcast. If you want to cast broad, then you don't want to,
I completely agree. But if you had been a preacher, if you had been a pastor at some point,
would have been weird. I'm
life,
a Jew.
Right? If you had been a rabbi.
Okay, go ahead.
If you had been a rabbi.
And you and me walked into a bar.
then we'd be like, hey, wasn't Howie a rabbi at some point? To me, that's where it came from, is it wasn't just like, hey, I want to be cool. And like, the funny thing is like the whole deconstruction movement, they call it now, which is people leaving evangelical Christianity or Christianity in general, has become a bit of like a trendy thing, right? Because we're seeing this huge exodus of people from the church. It's a generational shift that we're experiencing for all kinds of reasons. So people talking about it is a little bit trendy. Yeah. And it wasn't like we're doing this to enter some new status or be considered in a certain way. I don't like controversy. I don't like people being upset. I don't like people saying they're never going to watch again because of this. And so, and I was a little, and I do feel like I've pulled back a little bit in the amount that I want to talk about it, and then because I don't want to disparage people who have faith, and it's like it's very difficult to figure out what is going on with the world. It's very difficult to figure out what the nature of this reality is. The thing I have the biggest problem with now is people who say that they know exactly what the nature of God is, they know the nature. They know exactly what happens after you die, and this is what you need to do to be prepared. At this point, I'm like, nobody knows. Nobody's got it figured out. And the only thing I have a problem with is if you tell me that you do have it figured out.
Do you think it was less about the authenticity for your viewers and more about your own personal journey, that if you came out with who you are or how you developed, then it said more, it confirmed who you were as a person? Like it was more of an internal thing, you talking about it openly?
I think so. It was about bringing this kind of balance. I've talked about that exact
But
thing.
it's not just you. You both were in the same thought process. How do you make such a monumental move? You're only co-hosts and friends. You're not one person. How are you able to navigate how far, how honest, at the timing of your life together? That's what I found fascinating.
You're talking about personally and then deciding to talk about it publicly. Both things. Yeah, I mean, he kind of spearheaded this. The questions and the quest of, okay, I'm not satisfied with some answers I'm getting. I was his sounding board for his spiritual deconstruction, and so I think that I was, just kind of along for the ride, honestly, because my brain doesn't work in the same way. I was much more comfortable because I thought it was working for me. I thought that how I conducted my faith was more helpful than harmful. Actually, now I've started to realize over the past decade that there were a lot of things that were healthy for me to shed in terms of judgment and shame and how I processed that. But as a sounding board, I was pretty much just kind of like a step or two behind him in terms of my evolving beliefs.
Because as we said, you're the questioning personally, the decision to make a change in a direction of thought and how you operate your life is a real personal thing. That could have been a huge wedge and maybe the end of this partnership.
Well, and it started with the first person I kind of confided in was my wife, and I've seen this so many times. It's very unusual for a married couple that are both in a particular faith and one person says adios. Most of the time, those end in divorce.
Right.
The first time I told her, I mean, listen, we didn't believe that evolution happened. We believed that Adam and Eve were real. We believed that what is in the book of Genesis was like history. And so was
there a moment where this came, where you had a flash and you went, wait?
It was like I started reading about this in my early 20s, but mostly what I would do is I would go and I would be like, there's all these people saying that the earth is, 10,000 years old, but like every time I go to a museum, they're like, this thing lived millions of years ago. I never looked into this, but I started reading about it. And actually I started reading from like, I would go to Christian sources, right? And there's a lot of Christians who don't believe that. There's a lot of Christians who believe in evolution, right? There's a lot of Christians who believe that the world is old or whatever and kind of accept the established science. And so I would slowly read these sources and kind of my view was changing. But then when it was like, I don't know how to reconcile this particular thing about, well, if we have this common ancestor with chimpanzees and apes and Adam and Eve, how do you explain that? I would start asking these questions, and then I would like go to my pastor, go to these other people. I would ask them questions, and I didn't get satisfactory answers. And then it just was like a house of cards that was slowly falling until I remember writing in my journal. I was journaling at the time. I was like, I'm pretty sure I don't believe any of this stuff anymore, right? But all along the way, I would like when I told my wife that I thought evolution had happened, she burst into tears. I just want to give you an idea of where we come from and the worldview that we were all sort of held captive to. And so, but the funny thing is that.
But I never reacted that way.
No, so I actually I would meter out the conversation with Jesse at the time. Be like, she can only handle so much. But Link and I would hang out, and I would be like, bro, let me tell you the last thing that I read that really makes me think that none of this stuff is true. And you would listen. And again, you weren't the kind of guy that was going to go off and do the research on your own, but you were the kind of guy that was going to listen to someone who you trusted who had.
Yeah. I mean, I read a couple of books too, but like, it wasn't quite as.
You weren't searching. He was seeking and sharing.
Yeah.
And you were listening and being much more passive.
Yeah.
So if he
and I value the security of what I had, and I just felt like there was a lot at stake in trying to. I was like, I'm gonna be here for you, and I'm gonna lovingly listen and respond and be a sounding board. But what I'm really gonna do is I'm gonna try to like say, yeah, but let's just kind of tamp all this down. Get it out of your system. I think is what I thought at first. And
so what was the switch where you went, yeah?
I mean, it was just the preponderance of it. It just kept coming. I mean, anywhere you look, I mean, it's like it just kept coming. And I did start reading other people's accounts of deconstruction and their reasoning, and
was your wife also?
A lot of that resonated.
Did they have this? Did she have the same?
She was yes, because it was. We believed that it would split us up.
Yeah.
That like the biblical teaching that we adhered to was, okay, you're not going to stay together.
You can't do this without Jesus.
You're not,
basically,
Jesus is holding you together anyway. So,
and how old were your kids when this was happening?
My oldest son was maybe 4, 5, 6.
So that they're not totally indoctrinated.
So he had given him. The funny thing about my oldest son is that one of the first times we sent him to Sunday school, and they're teaching from the Old Testament, at Sunday school, and they're talking about, it always amazes me, but I guess they do it because it's in the Bible. But they're like talking about the conquest of the land of Canaan, and people, God commanding the murder of women and children who were not Israelites. And like my son has what I think is an emotionally healthy reaction to that, which is like, who is this God that is demanding this of his people? And like, we didn't have good answers, right? There's Christian apologists have lots of answers. It's like, well, actually it's a little bit different, and those people kind of deserved it if you think about it. And it was God's judgment. It wasn't. There's lots of answers that they have. They're not good answers. They don't actually solve the problem. And so what we were seeing is that I don't think this kid is going to survive this. He's not like we were. Like what you did when we were growing up is there was no internet. No one actually went to the library. If you had a question, you asked your parents, and they told you what the truth was. But like our kids were in a place where it's like, well, I can access actual information about this. I can access other perspectives. That's essentially what happened to me. I just started going on the internet. So I don't know if they would have. I don't know. They never got locked in very much.
They were young.
Yeah.
Your family, are they alive? Are your parents alive?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And how are they with this?
they still believe, they're still in. We have a good relationship because I think mostly because we choose not to talk about this very often. And when we do, we try to talk about it in a respectful way. Again, I'm not interested in changing my family's minds. I'm trying to be as not evangelistic. I'm like, this faith has been very meaningful for y'all. It's defined who you are. It's, it has been incredibly helpful and transformational for you. I'm not trying to take that away from you. I'm not trying to convince you that it's not true, but I'm saying for me, I was really concerned about whether or not it was true, and I've become overwhelmingly convinced that it's either definitely not true or impossible to prove to be true, and I can't believe it. You can't make me believe something that I find to be unbelievable.
But bringing you back to the first question, you as a team made a decision to make this public, and I know you're saying it's but there had to be a lot of fear in just approaching a microphone,
especially for me, because I feel like I was not as the change that I made was very important to me, and I absolutely believed it. But it's not the type of thing that I wanted to all of a sudden have to defend publicly. Like I wasn't interested in that. Like the way that Rhett likes to talk about those things is I didn't want to sign up for that. I didn't want to start arguing with anybody, and I really didn't want to ruffle feathers, but what put me over the edge was inclusivity versus exclusivity and judgment and inclusion. Like I really wanted, I was a loving, inclusive person that wasn't excluding somebody based on their any type of orientation,
Right. And was that, which is a dichotomy toward the teachings of
exactly. Like we have all these fans who come from all walks of life, all different perspectives. Yeah, some people who are conservative Christian people, but a lot of people who are not. And I think that our philosophy of inclusivity and of accepting people and encouraging people to accept themselves versus encouraging them to adhere to sort of a Stone Age moral philosophy, that is something that philosophy has been incredibly harmful to a lot of people and to a lot of people who call themselves mythical beasts, our fans.
Right.
So I think we were like, well, listen, first of all, we don't want you guys to think that we stand with that. That's not who we are.
Right. That's what put me over the edge. Was I didn't want to alienate and be presumed to be judging fans that I cared about and that I was connecting with and that I was hearing their stories and my heart was going out to them so I didn't want them to think the exact opposite of what I felt about them as people. So I got more interested in sharing my truth, I guess you would call it.
No, but this is a really interesting, wonderful conversation, which kind of opens us up to not only what you believe or don't believe, but who you are as human beings. And the key is having respect for absolutely everyone, for humanity, for thought, for the pursuit of the truth, and not being closed-minded. And not that faith is closed-minded, but I think we are developing. We're always developing, and humanity is very comfortable always in stopping the development. If you're comfortable where you are, most people don't want to learn more, don't want to hear more, don't want to see more, don't want to experience more. They just want to hang on to what they have. And we all live in this bubble. And few people are like you guys, where you kind of like, you got to be open. You got to be.
Well, and listen, let me tell you, on this side of it, it's a lot better. As someone who lived within the confines of that system, and someone who is more just a humanitarian, a humanist at this point.
It's easier because there were years of I have to find a way to love gay people, but not but
But not really.
But not really.
Not really accept them or their partner or whatever. But more so than that, for me, because, if you're a Christian, and especially if you're an evangelical Christian, the mandate is the Great Commission, Jesus telling people to go and share the gospel, right? You're supposed to bring people into the fold. What that does is it sets up this dynamic with every single interaction that you have with a person. There's a burden that you need to tell them this thing. And that the dynamic in your mind is that I have a truth. I possess the right answers. I possess the truth. And there needs to be an exchange of right truth to them that they don't have it. That dynamic is toxic. It is debilitating. It changes every interaction that you have with somebody. I enjoy living life so much more now where I get to talk to somebody and I'm like, well, what am I going to learn from this person? Not what can I teach this person? How can I tell this person that what I believe is right? Well, it's like, well, let's see here's another person with another specific experience from a different place in the world. They've got a certain perspective. I have a lot more personal satisfaction out of getting their perspective and being like, well, how does that impact my perspective? Versus carrying around this book of truth that you have to shove down people's throats in every opportunity that you get. Even if you're doing it in love, it's the dynamic is that you're right and they're wrong and that you got to settle it.
That's my kind of panacea that I talk about for aging. Is curiosity, and when we are kids, so taking religion totally out of the equation, when we're kids, when I was a kid, people listened to radio, you want to hear what the latest song is and you wanted to go buy the album, or you want to stream that music now because you want to know what's hot. You want to look at online and on Instagram to see what people are wearing and how they're dressing, and you want to see what the latest style is. And then you reach an age or a time where you go, well, I don't really care about the new music. That was, this is not music. What I heard was music. And you stick with the haircut that you have because you only care about.
You check out.
You really do. You go, it's just too tiring. It's just too, I just want to hang on. And I remember my memories and my life and my bubble. That's the way it is. And you're not accepting, it has nothing to do with religion. You're not accepting anything new. And as somebody who is, I'm close to 70 years old, I sit with my kids every day, and everybody I work with is really young. And even as somebody who went into comedy, and did very well in the 80s in comedy, I can't tell you how many times I didn't know what YouTube was. My son showed me YouTube 20 years ago or whatever it was, and I would see things that were clicked on that had 100 million, clicks. And when I was reading all the comments, they would go, this is hysterical, this is funny. And it would kill me because I'd go, 100 million people are saying this is funny. And I swear to you, I don't get it. Right. I don't know. And everybody sees the funny. Explain to me the funny. And now at this point in my life, because curiosity is what runs through my veins, I want to know. I want to know how to engage you. I want to know what it is. So you just spoke right to me.
I mean, what else is life? What else is life if not like this idea of calcifying and being rigid, which again, when your worldview is dominated by this idea that there was a truth that was dispensed 2,000 years ago, and it is the unchanging truth. God is immutable. He does not change. We have this almost cultural idea, like when politicians change their mind, we get mad. But when politicians change their mind, maybe they actually got new information. Isn't that a good thing? The whole flip-flop thing is like, well, what did they flop to? They flopped to the right side of this issue. That's something to be celebrated. But this idea that you would be this rigid, calcified thing, you become brittle. When you get calcified and you get brittle, you can be broken pretty easily. But I want to stay malleable. I want to stay flexible as I get old. And listen, I've known this about you for a long time, that you have. When people find out you're, in your late 60s, they're like, "No, he's not." I got to go on Wikipedia. I got to confirm that.
Why would I lie about it?
But because you don't give off that type of energy.
But the energy is
because you're curious.
Yeah.
You're curious.
But I also see the other way. I understand people who are devout religious people, and I understand people who just stop. And that is, I have FOMO, which I guess Oprah coined the phrase, but the fear of missing out. If the comfort in at least believing the comfort in not needing to, like, there's something going on out there that you don't know about that not is a wonder. It seems like a wonderful, safe feeling. The fact that you don't know is, and fear and anger, and it comes from ignorance, from people not knowing. Not most of the time, it's not used for good.
Right.
And I believe that the most brilliant people, the smartest people in the world, are the people that are so aware of what they don't know. And the dumbest people in the world are the people that know it all.
Dude, I've been saying this lately.
It's certainly better to be around.
The older I get, the dumber I realize that I am. In fact, recently I've come up with a way of describing my brain. I was like, I realized I have like a Toyota brain, right? It's just like, when I coming from where I come from, I was like, I think I've got like a Mercedes brain. You know, I think I'm one of the smartest guys around here. And then you start running into people, and I keep meeting people who are a lot smarter than me, a lot more educated, a lot more informed about certain things, can explain things a lot better, understand things a lot better. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm a Toyota. Like, it's pretty reliable, but it's not a Lexus. And I think that just recognizing that and living like, I want to meet some Lexi so they can explain some things to me, versus just concluding that I remember a moment when I was like 18 years old, and I remember legitimately thinking, I think I kind of understand all the fundamental things that you're supposed to understand about life in the universe, because I am a child of God. I am a Christian. I have a relationship with Jesus. I believe the Bible. That's where I get my morality from. I'm really blessed. I'm really blessed to have found the truth, the universal truth of the God of the universe that I have a relationship with. I am really, really lucky. Now I sit down and I say, man, I just know such a small fraction of the things that there are to know. I'm part of a collective. I'm just a pixel on a screen. I'm not the screen.
I always thought that my brain was a three-wheeler. It's like really dangerous, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. But
you start also realizing how much you don't know, because we have so much access to all this information now and other points of view.
Right.
Whereas I think even when I was younger, there was no access to that. I was in my little bubble where I grew up, or with my family, and it's whatever that bubble decided to tell me or showed me, that was my worldview. And now you have the internet where you can...
But an algorithm just forms a bigger bubble.
That's true.
You know, so
but you have to like fight to go outside your algorithm.
You can get there.
Even in politics,
you can get there.
Like, there's so many people that have one point of view, and so they'll only watch or see that one point of view, and you have to go out of your way to look for the other point of view, whether or not you agree with it, just so that you see the other side.
Yeah.
Life is tough, you know, and this need, and it's scary, because you don't know what tomorrow brings. And you don't, without knowing what tomorrow brings, without a finite, you know, and religion gives you a finite, this is what's going to happen.
Certainty would be really nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you pull that net out from under yourself, it's a little bit, and then you allow yourself to be that open to anything can happen. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I'll see how I react to it. That's a little bit. At the same time, it's stimulating and wonderful and life and experiential. You know, I love thrill rides. I still do at my age. Whenever we go to an amusement park, I have to get on the roller coaster. And you know, the scarier it is, the higher it is, the faster it is, the more I think I'm closer to killing myself, the more fun it is.
But you know you're safe. You trust those engineers ultimately, right? That's the thrill of it.
Sometimes, you know, I don't, not in those little amusement parks that show up.
If you're like at a state
You
fair,
don't care.
a carnival,
He doesn't. He wants.
I don't
the thrill.
want the guy to
he
have
said he
less
would go in the
teeth than what?
You said you would have gone in the submarine that went down.
I
to
would
the,
have.
Yeah. So he doesn't
yeah,
care about being safe.
right?
Yeah, I would have done that, but I would have not thought that could have happened.
Right. So you're with me.
Because I would not have thought.
Yeah,
I would not have allowed.
Link is not he's not a safe. He's a safe person, but he's not a safe person. If you know what I mean.
But you'd figure that guy knew what he was doing. I mean, he had a PS5 controller.
yeah, I would have believed.
If you can send Mario to the next level, why couldn't we go see the
Titanic?
Yeah.
But the thing about this, I don't really want to leave it here, because for us in our journey of talking about our spirituality and coming out with all of that, is at this point, we understand both sides. We understand where we came from. And, when we make Good Mythical Morning, we make that show for everybody. And we make that show for the people we used to be and the people we are now, and hopefully the people that relate to who we're going to become later.
But you are the same person. A human is a journey, as somebody.
But we're not talking about this stuff on Good Mythical Morning. We're given the gift of laughter and friendship, and that should be for everybody.
That's what this podcast is.
Okay, yeah, and we except for this one.
No, I like to have a full, well-rounded.
And that's why we talked about. That's why we came out on Ear Biscuits on the podcast, because it was like that's the place that we're real, and we're not just there to entertain. We're just having real conversation.
Because there are certain things that you can still welcome everybody into, and I mean, it may not be for everybody, but
it shouldn't be.
For Good Mythical Morning,
there's not an answer. There isn't one.
It's for more people.
And what is more people, and what is a lot of people? And if you have a clear vision of something, is that the majority of people that believe that? If the majority of people are in your bubble and you don't hear or see people outside of your bubble, no matter how big that bubble is. Am I making any sense here?
Well, I'm just saying that
in the middle of it, I lost even what I was saying.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
Well,
it's okay.
But it reminds me of something that happened this past weekend in Big Sur, where Link was. You went to get that. It was Mountain Valley spring water. It's just sort of a mid-level brand of spring water that we had.
Oh, the actual bottled carbonated water, or it's not carbonated, but you weren't going to a Mountain Valley spring.
No,
and Link got up and he was asking if everyone wanted some, but you had some LaCroix, you had some other choices, and you were like, I've got this Mountain Valley spring water. It's not for everyone. You were saying it's not for everyone, because you literally meant for the people in our group, it wasn't for everyone. Not everyone wanted it, but I immediately said, that's a great slogan for any product. Right? It's not for everyone.
Right.
And if you're trying to be for everyone, you'll be for no one. Right. And so I think that while GMM is broad.
But that's what Howie was saying, was that America's Got Talent's for everyone.
It is.
See, so he's trying to be for everyone.
It's not but it's not for everyone. It's for as many people as it can be, but it can't.
But the goal is everyone. It really is. I don't think we'll achieve it. I don't think we'll even come close to it.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying it's not possible.
Right.
But you individually, you can be a part of something that is for everyone, but you can only be for whoever.
But as fellow people in this business, we want to be for absolutely everyone. That would be a goal. We also are aware that is going to never happen. That's impossible. But as wide a range of audience as you can.
I don't disagree, but as someone who is performance driven, if you're familiar with the Enneagram personality test, I'm a 3, which means like an achiever, somebody who's trying to find their self-worth in performance and externally focused. When you find out that somebody doesn't like you, that's a real problem for somebody with a lot of us in this business, right? But I think that one of the great things about getting older and getting a little perspective, and honestly, getting a level of success that it's things could kind of not work now, and it wouldn't really matter that much. You're not as hungry as you were 15 years ago or whatever. But I think that seeing there's somebody who doesn't like me, who said this very specific thing. It might be they don't like the way I look, they don't like the way I talk, they don't like the way I think, whatever. People pick favorites between us all the time because we're a duo, and that's what people naturally do. I've finally, it's been a lot of work, a lot of therapy, but getting to a place where it's well, of course there are people who don't like me. Of course, my response to that shouldn't be, well, what can I change in order to get that person to like me, or just
you could have just listened to me for years.
That person. That's not worth my energy. Trying to get that person to like me, what is the point?
Are you hurt by comments?
There's still an occasional one. I think the ones that hurt are the ones that you're yeah, that's probably true, right? Like if you're like, this thing that you guys did wasn't as funny as you thought it was, and we're like, yeah. So if it feels like something we might say to each other, those are the ones that
You should have my mom go to bat for you in the comment section. That's what she does for me.
Yeah, she writes back anything that they say
If
negative.
they say anything negative about me, my mom is in the
Mama
comment
bear.
section like, you do not say that about my daughter.
The thing about it is, it bothers me, and we do read our comments, but feel free to continue to comment and subscribe, and
my mom will answer you.
and you'll talk to my wife and her mom. But that being said, I'm also fascinated by what it takes, because I could not do that. I could not. I don't have whatever that is that makes you type or text or comment something really negative and hurtful.
Yeah.
And I find in our business, and our business being any kind of public figure, even if it's not in a comment, it gives people a license to act like you don't, like, not like how I was brought up, and not, my mom always taught me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Well, I think the reason that you don't say it, and a lot of us in this business don't criticize other people. Number one, you're really busy. It takes time. Number two, you're making stuff. So I think when you create things, when you're actually bringing things into the world that are being regularly critiqued and analyzed by an audience, you know how it feels. And I think most of the people whose online personality is defined by criticizing other people, they're not making shit.
Except I'm saying that, and I know I'm going to get killed now, because I'm also paid well to be a judge, where I have to go, that didn't work. That is not going to win the $1 million.
But that's the whole point of the show.
It is. And they want me to say what I think, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And I always follow that up with, just because I'm not responding to it, and just because I didn't like it, doesn't mean America's not going to vote for it. You're not going to be hugely successful, because we realize that no matter how big you are, how many followers you have, there's always way more people in the world existing that will never even hear your name, will never even click on you, will never turn you on. So it doesn't really matter what my thoughts are. I really don't matter. I only matter to a few people. But you know what really matters is that you guys showed up for this. I'm so bowled over by even this conversation. You're so much more than I even thought you were. I'm a fan of everything you do. I love, what is the weirdest thing, and this is a bad turn, but what's the weirdest thing that you ever put in your mouth? Like, you guys do that eating, that
Right.
That have you ever seen they do these weird?
We've never.
Jimmy Fallon usually.
We've never had a sexual encounter. Just clear to say that.
I'm not talking about penis.
Oh,
I'm talking about what they do. And I thought
beef
everybody
bile cheesecake. I mean, if we're gonna
That's
eat
the
something
worst.
really gross, we've hired a chef to make it. Like, our Mythical Kitchen makes the worst things in the most amazing way.
Have you ever gotten sick?
Surprisingly, well, I chugged a liter of vinegar, and you shouldn't do that.
The weirdest thing you put in your
But
mouth
that was just stupid.
100-year-old coconut.
Oh yeah,
Who's saving a coconut for 100 years?
It was canned coconut.
Two people did it for 50 years each.
they sell it on eBay. So we
all
buy
these old food,
all
old
this
packaged
old
food.
stuff on eBay,
And he put
it's
it in
just
his mouth.
fascinating. You know, you pay $100 for this thing, and I just, it seemed like it would be fun to. I didn't swallow it, but I did.
there
put
could
it
have
in
been
my mouth.
botulism. There's all kinds of things.
Yeah, you could have died. Like,
It was an impulsive decision.
I know. So I've watched that, and that's the question. The question that I had was, they have these tastes of icky stuff, and that's been one of their.
We eat a lot of stuff.
They
on
do,
Good
and I
Mythical
thought,
Morning.
just like you could die.
I also
Like, I mean,
heard,
there's things that you've put in your mouth that could actually kill you. I mean, it's beyond
Yeah.
funny.
I
and
probably
everything.
wouldn't do that again.
I
look
did,
at you.
I did not do that. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
the
that you're not so religious, you figure you're not as safe.
It's like,
Right.
hey, man, I think this might be over when I die.
this is
I'm gonna
it.
stretch this out as much as I can.
Yeah, you guys are great. GMM is the main show that I'm aware of. Good Mythical Morning on YouTube, and
Yeah.
you guys shoot that every day, and then you have like this after
5
show.
days a week, and then there's Good Mythical More is you can just click over, and so you can spend like 40 minutes with us every
And
weekday.
the thing that we're most excited about creatively right now, so we're going to talk it up, is we actually rekindled the OG Rhett and Link channel, the channel that started in 2006. It's gone through different iterations, but we've we kind of stopped playing the, hey, let's go across town and pitch somebody on a show or let's write a screenplay. And we said, let's take all these creative ideas that we've been having, let's just put them directly into content on YouTube. So we've done about 6 videos so far this year. We're getting about 1 a month.
So Jeremy, put the link. You'll give us the link. The link will be down below.
Yeah, so that's just basically youtube.com/Rhett and Link. So that's the original channel.
Each video is a standalone odyssey into a seemingly mundane premise that will surprise you with some
I also
some weirdness.
heard from the guys in the back that you recently sold Smosh. Is that
Yes.
true?
So yeah.
Oh, back to
I'll make the long story short. We had a strange opportunity when things sort of fell apart for them. They were owned by a different company, and then years ago we were trying to give them a place to just do their business, but ended up being this incredible opportunity for us to buy them and kind of let Ian, who was in charge of Smosh, continue to retain control. And then Anthony, because they were a longtime internet duo. Ian and Anthony go way back, even before us.
We had him on. He was telling us that story.
And so they got back together and said that they wanted Smosh back. And we were like, well, we only did this to begin with to help you guys out because we loved you guys and we believed in what you're doing. So yeah, let's work out a deal. And so that closed a couple of months ago. So
you also have this thing where you have like this $5 million. Is that a fund?
Yeah.
And you get these two. You just launched. There's these 2 girls that
The Sorry Girls.
Yes.
Yes, fellow Canadians.
Yes. Yes. So
a lot of interior design. It's like HGTV for
Well, the whole point is
digital
we call it
age.
the Mythical Accelerator. It's essentially investing in a creator who wants to build a company similar to the one that we've built, right? They want to kind of leave a legacy. They want to build a media company. So we give them some money to get some equity in their business, and then we give them the advice and all the lessons that we've learned over the time. We have a team that's committed to that and kind of work them through all those business decisions. And we've got 3 people in that program now, and we're very slowly and we're very particular about how we expand, but it's a pretty small sort of boutique thing.
That's wonderful. So whatever links that he has mentioned are down below, but don't miss them. These guys, you're really a joy, and you're really
well, thank you, Howie.
Interesting. And I'm glad that you guys worked out a lot of the problems that were very evident. And now they seem to have.
At the beginning of this conversation. Yes.
I mean, I think we solved.
Yes.
Thank you.
Don't you feel like we've done something? It's not just a podcast. I think this was like
This is like therapy.
There's a full arc. There's a full arc.
Are you still tired? Is the real question.
No, you guys woke me up.
she was up all night with her daughter.
Yeah.
Yes, her daughter wasn't feeling well. Yes, her daughter has syphilis again. Anyway. Yeah, well.
Again, yeah.
Yeah, well, preschool. It's
Right.
crazy
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Anyway, subscribe and
I was up with my
comment.
hamster.
What?
I was up all night with my hamster.
With your hamster.
Yeah.
That's what she calls
Your
her
hamster.
daughter. Yes. Anyway, until next time, Rhett and Link.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Woohoo! That was great.
It was fun.
That was fun. You guys are great. That was really interesting. Deeper than I ever thought it would go.
You never know, man.
No, but that was great.
know.
Really interesting.